Ready? 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 Here we go. Here we go. Oh shit! God damn it! No! Oh! That's my shit right there! And that's the ticket! And give me the ticket! That's what I want is tickets! Let's go! It's so good! Here we go! Here we go!
All right, cool. Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to do the reverse spotlight. I guess I'll try to sort of set the stage a little bit because, one of the really interesting things I've found from crowdsourcing these questions was how much people are really interested in you as a person and what your life is like and your opinions on things. And that was a lot of what I was interested into and why I wanted to do this spotlight. I took one of the comments, Sinkas responded saying to check out his previous interview that he did with you. And I encourage other people to check that out as well. It's a great interview. And it's very much based on Scent and your role in Scent and your interests about the platform. And so I'm going to try and deviate from that a little bit. I tried to consolidate a lot of people's questions into about 7 or 8 main questions that encapsulate everything. Otherwise, we'd be here all day, right, going through like 50 questions or something. So, honestly, I feel like any of these questions could be turned into like their own podcast practically. They're big questions. So as long as you're cool, we'll get started. This. All right, man. So the first question, I have to do it. It's my most hated question, but that you love to ask people in the spirit of the reverse spotlight. It actually overlaps a lot of other people's interests, but in as many or few words as possible, who is Matthew?
I love how you say that you hate that question so much and then give it right back to me. No, I'm just so I'm originally from outside of Philadelphia. Right when I started university, I left and came to Korea. I studied here, graduated from a Korean university, entered like a huge Korean conglomerate, was working there for a long time. First in construction and then later in biopharmaceuticals. And yeah, like got married over here, have a whole life here, flying back and forth between the States and the West and Asia for my job. And then like in the midst of all that, got into crypto and luckily was able to become a part of Scent, where I'm now like leading social, community, and PM efforts with the project. And yeah, I mean, I guess in a nutshell, that's who I am. And yeah, I hope that does the question justice.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like it's tough to know what direction to go with it. And that was fantastic. Do you have family back in the States or in Korea, or where are like most of your people located?
Yeah, it's 50-50. So like my whole side of the family, they're back in the States, spread, like most of them on the East Coast. I got a sibling down in Texas. And yeah, like extended family are Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Delaware. Yeah, but predominantly East Coast. And then they have my wife's side of the family. They're all from Korea.
Okay. Wow. So you really got the global thing down. You have people all over. That's awesome, man. This is fascinating. So it's actually a pretty good segue into the second question. What is like a normal day in the life of Matthew? I mean, obviously you sort of have taken an unconventional path in your life. You're up late right now. This is like a reasonable time for me. And I know you're up late most nights. So what, do you have like a routine? Do you have like a regular sort of thing that you go through, or is every day totally different, or what's a typical day like?
Yeah. So like Tuesday through Saturday are like the days where my day job overlaps with Scent, basically. But I'll just like walk you through my Tuesday to Friday, which are like identical. Like both of the jobs overlap with one another. So I get up at like 5:43 a.m. in the morning.
5:43.
It's super exact. I go through my quick morning routine, and then I head out the door with my wife. Then we take the elevator down to the metro that's connected to my apartment, hop on that, get over to a subway station. It's like 4 stops away. And then I got into the company shuttle that'll take me to my day job. As I'm on the company shuttle, and this like it departs around like 6:35, I hop onto the Sent Daily call. And that's where like all 6 members of the team, they link in, they update everyone on what they're working on that day, if there's any like major roadblocks. And then more often than not, we start getting pretty deep and philosophical on the project and start going back to our roadmap, like what is the next feature we want to target, how we want to approach the next step of whatever, are there any problems, et cetera, like all the product related awesome stuff. So that's all done on the bus ride to my day job. So I finish and usually wrap up when we're arriving at my day job. And then from like 7:30 a.m. to about like 5:30 in the evening, usually, or sometimes 7:30 p.m., I'm at the day job. And then coming back on the bus, and like throughout the whole day though, like I'm checking Twitter, going on Sent, responding, writing stuff. It's kind of a beautiful job, like what Sent offers, to be like to work asynchronously like this, and to like check in when you have like a few minutes free on the job. And then like, especially on the bus ride back home, I like to do a lot of thinking, like reflecting on the day, like what am I going to write about tomorrow? Like if I don't have any articles or posts in the pipeline, just use that as like creative time. Then I get home, and then interacting with the product. There's a lot of like behind the scenes stuff that I am in charge of, like in terms of like admin email responses, and like if there's any queries, or like on top of all of that. So usually have a full plate that's constantly replenishing throughout the day. And then when I get back, like ready to lie in bed, just check in one more time to see if there's anything on Sent, and then listing up like my daily goals for Sent for the next day, so that I can share that with the group in Slack, so that when they wake up on their end as I'm falling asleep, they'll see what I'm looking at, so that they can sync their day around other tasks and things like that. So yeah, that's a full day.
Dude, that sounds like a full day. Do you mind me asking, is the idea to like do this job in tandem with your current job, or do you see yourself like trying to eventually exit one or the other? Or maybe it's too early to tell, but it sounds like a full day. I mean, you took the words out of my mouth.
No, that's a good question. And we're definitely in the process of getting me to go full time with Sent. And that's what I want to do too, personally. And I mean, with any startup, there's always uncertainty. And I mean, I've been with the project as a member of the team since April 2018. So we've been with it for a while, through thick and thin, but we're definitely on a great trajectory right now. Funding wise, we're in a very good place. So like the runway is there for me to transition from that day job into Sent full time. I'm already full time already, right? Like,
right. But yes, officially is different, or being able to like swing it and with confidence is different. I hear you.
Exactly, and I'll just be able to focus more on Sent, like even more than I'm focusing on it right now, and I can direct my attentions to building out different like initiatives and just getting deeper into the community and building that part out, which is honestly like throughout my day the part that most excites me. And I don't get me wrong, the day job has provided a lot for me. Super grateful to the company that I work for. It's just that Sent is awesome, and this general area and this whole sector, super bullish on for the long term. So I really feel like deepening my roots in this area is for sure the right play. Plus, I mean, it really does play on like everything that I've done career wise up until now, and it just lets me like more like spread my wings more, I guess, and yeah, open me up to even better, more global opportunities. And plus, I mean, I've been in Asia for like over 10 years. I do want to be able to get home and see my parents and take my wife with me and like make sure that she gets to know my side of the family a little bit more. So that would also, like, working with Zen would help me achieve that as well.
Yeah, awesome. So dude, I'm gonna go like a little bit off script here, but I gotta ask. It keeps like popping up in my head. I'm like, why 5:43 in the morning?
That's the latest that I can sleep in and like wake up and just like brush my teeth and like wash my face and get dressed and do like some pull-ups and push-ups. Like my morning routine is super regimented to maximize like the short amount of sleep that I can have. And that's just like the time that works. I get out the door at the right time. I can get down to catch the train, which is arriving at like 6:11 every morning. Like everything's like clockwork over here. So thanks to like the legit awesome public transportation system, I can just set my schedule pretty precisely.
So if you wake up at like 5:45, are you in like a cold sweat because you woke up 2 minutes late, or does that never happen because you're always up at 5:43?
Well, I mean, like in Korea, there's like the drinking culture with work is like a real thing. So some nights when it goes pretty heavy, like I do wake up a little bit later, but that just means like, okay, I can't do like push-ups or pull-ups. I need to like really run the hell like out the door, basically. It's manageable, but it's just like, yeah, I'm almost breaking a cold sweat.
I imagine you being like extremely organized, so I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. All right, man, let's move on. So a lot of people curious about how you got interested in cryptocurrencies in the first place. And you already touched on, I know South Korea is like a hotbed for cryptocurrencies in general. But do you mind, did you just sort of stumble upon it, or did you encounter it in real life, or how did you get into this in the first place?
So my first real exposure to it was when I was in construction. So I was working with, there's a bunch of expats that had been recruited into my company at the time. And in the morning we had these like coffee sessions. And I had this one buddy, and this is probably around 2013. He started to get into Bitcoin, and he started to get a couple of his buddies into it. And I was just like observing it. I wasn't really fundamentally interested in it. Like the speculative aspect of Bitcoin then, even now, like it wasn't super interesting to me. But from that group, like eventually like everyone except for the closest friend I have here, it was just him and me in that company towards the end. And like the impetus for me jumping into crypto, which is really jumping into Ethereum, happened in like the fall of 2015. I just remember my buddy taking me out. We were walking midday during work. It was autumn. It was like beautiful weather outside. And he was just like, dude, have you heard about Ethereum? And he just went on about it. He's like, smart contracts, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And like, he totally piqued my interest. I was like, programmable money? That's interesting. I remember just going back into work that afternoon, just like the rest of the workday was just like gone. I was just on the rabbit hole already, Googling Ethereum. And then I came across like a Future Thinkers podcast with Vinay Gupta. And I remember on the commute back home, I was just like blown away by that dude's like eloquent, super engaging Scottish accent, and just like his deep philosophical insights into like the future of programmable money on top of Ethereum, this like global computer. And I was hooked from that point on. That I started buying, and luckily over in Korea, like the exchanges were super easy to sign up for. So I really, I mean, I was lucky and fortunate enough to get in like pretty early. Kept dollar cost averaging my way into everything. And that was my initial lead into crypto, and I've been here ever since.
So of like, I feel like a lot of people fall into one or more of like they're either like miners, holders, traders. You sort of touched on this in one of your posts the other day. If I'm understanding what you're saying, you're more of like a holder. Do you do any day trading or trading at all, or are you trying to just sit on your rocket ship to the moon?
Well, I like to scrape profits. Like when we have like the rises in the markets, and like I know I've made money, I like to take a certain percentage out, and just keep that in what is it, DAI, and then when it drops, go back in, just keep accumulating more. I mean, that's like my very low key like trading involvement. It's not something I'm super like active in at all. I mean, I don't think you can really be. If you are active, like that has to be a full-time job. And yeah, if you try to do that and you're not doing that full-time, you're probably going to burn yourself and like lose a bit. But yeah, like I said, just trying to scrape profits, keep profits set aside for a rainy day. And then when you have these bigger fluctuations, try to capitalize on that. But yeah, and I'm not even like a hodler either. I try to be more of a user, like spending a lot on Cent. And then these days, especially with crypto art starting to take off, starting to pick up a few pieces from some artists that I admire. Yeah, I really try to use it more than just strictly hodl. Although, of course, hodling is a huge part of the game.
What do you, speaking of crypto art, and it seems like more and more of it is popping up on Cent, and I agree. It's like a fascinating space that isn't in a whole lot of other places. What is your favorite type of content on Cent? Your posts are sort of like, one's not entirely like the next one or the previous ones. I mean, I know you got your running themes, but what do you really gravitate towards?
So I think I'm like you a lot in this regards. I really liked when I asked you this question, like, what do you like to seed and like, what kind of content do you like? I like different stuff. And over time, I think my tastes evolve. But obviously right now, these days, like crypto art has really, really, really piqued my fascination. And it's just, I think a great example, of everything that Cent has to offer in terms of community, in terms of like showcase for the artists, and then combining the investment side, the cryptocurrency side, and then just like the NFT nature of the art that they're sharing and talking about themselves. I think it's awesome, and it just looks freaking fantastic. And it doesn't even have to be like the strict like the tokenized crypto art. Like for example, what No Shot or Gold Key are doing with their just amazing GIF animations.
Yeah, seriously.
It just, I mean, it's awesome, right? You look at it, you're like, holy crap. And then you look at the process behind it. Like No Shot has been doing these super fast forwarded like process recaps of like what he did for my body graphic, and then for the Cent wallpaper image that he made. And it's just like, fuck, that's awesome. And it's just like, that's perfect. And I can't find that anywhere else. And to be able to engage with these artists directly, to be able to like I bespoke work from them, like that's so cool. And I think it's really just scratching the surface of what's possible with the community here. I think that the crypto art community is like the first example of what can be possible when you start to get a critical mass of certain specific like professional communities gathering on Cent or on any platform that has these crypto primitives and incentive mechanisms built into them.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a fascinating rabbit hole that I feel like we're only scratching the surface of. And I agree with you about like some of these posts showing the progressions, like you're talking about. It really makes you appreciate what goes into these things that, to someone like myself, you wouldn't, I don't even have like a frame of reference to put it in until I see something like that. So, if you're not an artist, let alone a digital artist, it's hard to really like know what goes into something like that until you see these posts and you're like, oh, that's a lot, you know? Um,
Dude, when I saw the graphic that No Shot gave me for the last bounty, or the last body bounty, like I had invited him into the Scent Creative group chat, let him know what I was doing, let him know that I was still looking for art for that current week's body bounty, and like literally less than a day later, he gave me that work, and I'm like I could tell there's a lot that went into that. But then when I saw the whole process, I'm like, oh my God, like it was an insane amount of work. And just like the brush strokes that you can see, just the shading, and like, it's insane. It's insane. And the fact that we all have access to those artists and we can all pay them. I just feel like that's amazing. And it takes any creative output. Like, I'm just a writer, right? I'm not an artistic guy at all. I don't have an artistic bone in my body. I couldn't even come close to trying to get a graphic like that. Like, you've seen my "You Deserve a Drink" graphic. Like, it's like I just put text on top of like a
hey man, that's one step beyond a lot of people, that's for sure.
yeah, I can do like words. But like being able to have this kind of just eye-catching, just mesmerizing art that you can layer on top of like whatever you do. Like for me, it's writing. I just feel like it takes content to the next level, and I just can't wait to explore what further collaborations are possible on this kind of platform.
I'm right there with you. So what, another like good segue, what is this crypto artist like emergence? Is that like one of the most unexpected things to come out of your time here on Scent? Or I had that question, and then someone else echoed that question too. Like what is like something you never saw coming out of the time you've had on Scent?
I think that's definitely the latest example of what I think is something that I couldn't expect or forecast when I started using Scent back in 2017. But like, honestly, the most impressive, most unexpected thing about Scent to begin with is just like the thoughtful interactions that constantly occur between users here. I think a lot of people presume that because there's like money in the middle of a lot of the interactions here, that things will be fake, or people will just be like trying to like respond just to try to get the bounty or something like that. But I found that people are just thoughtful as hell. Like, they're super simple in their interactions, and they're constantly trying to add value. And to me, like, that was unexpected, and it's something that's delighted me like every single day that I've been on the platform. Like, I was never involved in, or never heavily into social media to begin with. Like, I was signed up to different places, but I was never out there like sharing anything or like readily engaging until Scent. And just finding the community of very thoughtful people was amazing. And since then, I found other communities of thoughtful people too, but nowhere like Scent, where just it feels like the majority of the interactions are like super thoughtful. So for that is definitely the most unexpected thing about Scent for me. Yeah.
Cool. Where do you see, like 5 years from now, you look into your crystal ball, or predict the future or whatever? How do you see, where do you see Scent looking? What do you see it looking like, or where do you see its place in the social media spectrum, or is it too ambiguous to project, or how do you see it down the line?
Yeah. So, I mean, just to clarify too, this is like my personal opinion. Like, as a company, like, of course we're thinking longer term, but we have like a roadmap that is like within like the next couple months. We're just trying to really find product market fit, of course. So like everything I'm about to say is just my own personal opinion, doesn't represent the views of like Scent, the project, or the team, or anything like that. Just to preface that.
Got it. Solid disclaimer.
But honestly, and this is probably going to sound weird coming from someone who's like, I don't consider myself to be super technical or like nerdy or something like that when it comes to technology. Like, I know like VR has been around, like Oculus has been trying to do something for like a number of years. But I honestly feel that the time for VR is coming soon. And I feel like even though today Scent is mainly text based, I mean, there are some like visual artists that are on here. There's some people that are like video blogging. I feel like the natural fit for a community like Scent is almost like in a virtual world. Um, I'm not sure what shape it would take form in. I'm not sure if we would join an existing like virtual community. I'm not sure if it would be something like crypto voxels, just more fleshed out. I mean, I'm not sure, but I feel like just the nature of the collaboration of the users on Scent would somehow it would be just like it would be able to be transposed into a virtual world quite nicely, and it would probably foster even more deeper connections and collaborations between users if it was in that context as opposed to what it is right now. That's kind of like where I see it going. Maybe not 5 years, maybe even more beyond that, but I feel like that's where we're going.
Yeah. Wow. That's such a cool answer to that question that I would have never seen coming. But you're right, man. Affordable VR is coming and only going to get more and more mainstream.
My
So
jump off point for thinking like that
that's
is the fact
fascinating.
that like these days we're looking and sitting in front of a screen for most of our waking moments, right? Whether it's your phone or your monitor at work or whatever, like you're always looking at the screen. You're in front of the screen. And like for me, virtual reality is something where you're just in the screen. So I just don't think that I don't think it's that big of a leap to go from sitting in front of your screen all day to actually going into your screen and probably having a much better like overall experience of what you're doing in your screen as opposed to just like sitting, tapping on a keyboard, opening, closing tabs. You know what I mean? You can put yourself into any kind of environment that people are already starting to do that. And then the fact that you have communities full of people like on Scent or like any of these other platforms, like you would be able to like engage with them in like realistic way. I just feel like that would be a better way to spend those moments when you need to be with the screen. You know what I mean?
Dude, totally. I feel like I basically live in my screen anyway, so might as well like do it in virtual reality. No, it's the logical progression of events. I totally get it. That's fascinating. Um, so last question, going in the total opposite direction of technology. Let's pretend your electricity, your internet gets shut down for a couple days, and what's like your go-to like off the grid activity? You mentioned you try and stay in shape and have some outlet there, but what do you do if you're stuck without all the normal stuff for a few days?
That would be interesting. But like I'm a big reader and I'm a paper book reader. I'm also a runner. I love going on walks with my wife. And then I'm a big coffee drinker and just like food lover and alcohol consumer. So like, I would just go about my business as usual. Just I wouldn't be on Scent, I guess, or like looking at the screen all the time. I would just have more time for those other activities that I'm able to squeeze into my day and on the weekends. I mean, it would be fun. It'd be like a nice little break, I think. That sounds quite peaceful, actually.
I thought that as I was writing that question, I was like, I almost wish that would happen sometimes. Like after the initial like total panic of like not knowing how like I'm going to do anything for a minute. The reprieve or like some sort of forced reprieve might actually be very peaceful. Well, Matthew, man, I really, really appreciate you taking time out of your day to do this with me. And I think people are going to love it, man. It was really interesting for me. Yeah, man, just want to say thanks. This is fantastic.
Likewise. Thanks for doing this, Rizzle.
Yeah, thanks, man.